We had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
No deal yet, but President Trump rated his meeting Friday with Russian dictator Vladimir Putin a 10 based on a scale of 1 to 10. This as Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky will be at the White House Monday afternoon for his own meeting with the U.S. President. We've got a lot to discuss. Joining me now, former Undersecretary of Defense and former Secretary of Veterans Affairs under President Trump, Robert Wilkie. Mr. Secretary, always great to see you, particularly at these moments. All right, so the fact that this meeting happened in the first place is a win. It's significant. Biden really could never have pulled this off,
right?
And had cut off all contact with Putin, which was a strategic error among many. But it is unclear what was really accomplished. It seemed that that Trump's demeanor at the press conference was a little bit more guarded. Talk to us about what your sources are saying was the tone in the room and what we think this White House believes they accomplished.
Well, you just hit it. And after 3 years in the cabinet, when I saw that look, I knew that he wasn't happy. Look, Shelby just reported in the previous segment what Putin said in that so-called press conference. He didn't back off on his maximalist demands that Ukraine is not really a country, it's just part of the old Imperial Russian Empire, and that he was bound and determined to take it whole. So in that sense, the summit did not achieve anything. However, I'm one of those who, you've got Winston Churchill's picture behind me here, who believes what Mr. Churchill said, and you just pointed out that jaw is better than war. And I think it's important for the president to sit down with Putin and take his temperature or his measure, and he'll do the same with Zelensky. But you also saw from the European leaders today that, look, Putin is not going to agree to a ceasefire. And he really doesn't care about economic sanctions right now. So the goal is there to create some sort of armistice, I think, in the best of worlds, similar to what we have between North and South Korea.
So we went from some discussion of a ceasefire or hoping for a ceasefire. Now the European leaders and the President Trump are talking about, well, let's move forward with full peace negotiations. Seemed to be, even just over the last 24 hours, a bit of mixed messaging there. Do we think that that is realistic, given some of the things that we heard out of Vladimir Putin yesterday?
Yeah, Tom, I think it's only realistic if the United States and Europe put on the table security guarantees, and you've just heard from Shelby that we had security guarantees, the Europeans, NATO, and the United States, back when the Soviet Union was falling apart, and then nothing happened. But if we can underpin Ukraine with security guarantees, particularly from the Europeans, and that might include inclusion into the European Union itself, not NATO, then you would have the chance that Ukraine can prosper behind an armistice line. But that's only going to come if Putin believes that Western weapons will be flowing to the Ukrainians, and and also economic sanctions in the sense that American energy independence will be unleashed on the world and drive down the price of Russian oil.
Mr. Secretary, the president said that yesterday that that sanctions were kind of off the table for the time being. Yeah. Your thoughts on making that kind of statement when he didn't get out of this meeting what perhaps he originally wanted to?
Well, the way President Trump acts is that he's always going to try to give the person on the other side of the table one last chance. I've seen him do that both domestically and internationally. So I think that's what he's up to. But in the end, if you're going to get some sort of stability on that line of demarcation between Ukraine and Russia, you're going to have to pull out the economic as well as the military sword that the United States and our European allies are starting to build.
Mr. Secretary, exit question for you. Putin, there was a big photo op with him yesterday. He was kind of treated, he wasn't treated like a war criminal or like the murderous dictator that he is. Vladimir Zelensky's really had the screws put to him by this White House. He's coming back on Monday.
Right.
What should the tone and the tenor of that conversation be?
It should be just what they gave to Putin. Look, the left forgets that its heroes, like Franklin Roosevelt, broke bread with the greatest mass murderer in history, next to Mao, Joseph Stalin.
That's right.
And went out of their way to appease Joseph Stalin. Well, Putin's just a gangster. He's not a mass murderer or homicidal maniac like Stalin was. So look, that's what the price you pay when you're a world leader. It's easy for countries that have, I hate to use this term, no skin in the game, to criticize the President of the United States for meeting with this guy. But that's easy to say when you're in some small capital in Europe and have absolutely no influence on the course of events.